Hello, I'm Jenna. Before we dive into today's story, if you enjoy real-life dramas and want to hear more, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's jump right in. Our story unfolds in the vibrant heart of a busy town, where David and I had invested everything into creating not just a house, but our dream home. On a sunny Saturday morning, the kids were scattered across the living room, their laughter filling the air as the aroma of pancakes drifted from the kitchen. "David, could you lend me a hand with the syrup?" I called out while flipping the final pancake. David entered with a warm smile, saying, "Absolutely, love. You've really outdone yourself with breakfast this time." As we gathered around the table, the morning sun bathed the kitchen counter, illuminating the faces of our four wonderful kids. Our home was a true sanctuary, each room reflecting our journey together. From the hand-painted murals in the kids' rooms to the cozy reading nook by the fireplace where David and I often relaxed, every detail was imbued with love and care. Later that day, while the kids were playing outside, my phone rang. It was Samantha, my sister-in-law, and her voice trembled with distress. "Hey Jenna, I'm in a tough spot. After the divorce, he got the house and the kids, and I'm left with nowhere to go." My heart ached for her. Samantha and her children had already endured so much. "I'm so sorry to hear that, Sam. Why don't you and the kids come over tonight? We can talk it through and figure something out." "Thanks, Jenna. I really appreciate it," Samantha said, her voice carrying a hint of hope. That evening, as David and I readied the guest room, I couldn't shake my worry. Samantha's predicament was serious, and while I knew we needed to help, I couldn't ignore the nagging concerns about what this might mean for us. When they arrived, the house buzzed with energy as the kids eagerly greeted their cousins, filling the space with joyful noise and chaos. Samantha, though visibly exhausted, managed a weary smile. "It's so good to see you all. Thank you for having us." "Of course, Sam. Let's sit down after dinner and sort everything out," David said, guiding everyone into the dining room. The meal was filled with light conversation, though the underlying tension was unmistakable. After the kids settled in with a movie, the adults gathered in the living room. Samantha took a deep breath, preparing to share her burdens. "I don't know how to say this, but I need more than just a temporary place to stay. The kids and I need a home," Samantha said, her voice heavy with desperation. Her words lingered in the air, carrying a weight of urgency. David gently squeezed my hand under the blanket, his eyes reflecting concern. We knew our home was a cherished sanctuary, but it was hard to turn away family in need. "We'll find a solution, Sam. For now, you and the kids can stay in the playroom and guest room as long as you need," I said, hoping to offer some solace. Samantha's face fell, her disappointment evident. "I was hoping you might consider something more permanent." David and I exchanged a meaningful look, the weight of Samantha's request settling heavily between us. Our home had been carefully crafted for our children's future, every detail meticulously planned and built with them in mind. "Let's discuss this with everyone and see if there's a way to help without disrupting our plans too much," David suggested, his peacemaking nature evident. Samantha nodded in agreement, though her eyes betrayed her anxiety about the uncertain future. As they departed later that night, the house felt unusually cold, the silence punctuated by the echo of looming decisions. That evening, as David and I lay in bed with the moon casting shadows across the room, we were acutely aware that our lives were on the brink of change. The question lingered: how much were we willing to sacrifice? Our dream, built on years of love and hard work, was at risk, but so was the well-being of family. The upcoming family meeting would be pivotal, potentially tipping the balance in one direction or another. The following Tuesday evening was circled on our calendar, not for a cheerful family event, but for a meeting that felt more like a tribunal. As David and I drove to my mother-in-law Martha's house, the tension in the car was palpable. "No matter what happens tonight, we face it together, right?" David said, giving my hand a reassuring squeeze. "Absolutely," I answered, though I struggled to conceal the tight knot of anxiety in my stomach. When we arrived at Martha's, the usual warmth and cheer were replaced by an uneasy silence. We were led into the living room, where the entire family was already assembled, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation. Martha took center stage, her tone somber and serious. "Thank you all for being here. We're gathered because, as a family, it's important that we support each other during times of crisis." Martha paused, her eyes briefly resting on Samantha, who was sitting with a tissue in hand, her eyes red and swollen. Samantha and her children are facing the threat of homelessness. And it's only right that those of us who are able should step up. Martha continued, her gaze fixed firmly on David and me. I felt David's hand tighten around mine beneath the table. Martha, we understand the gravity of the situation and we empathize, David said, his voice calm and measured. We've already extended an offer for Samantha to stay in our playroom and guest room on a temporary basis. Martha's lips pressed into a tight line. That's a good start, but it doesn't fully address the issue. Jenna, David, your home is quite spacious, much more than you actually need. It would make sense for Samantha and her children to move into your place. You could easily find a new location to build another home. I was taken aback by her boldness. Martha, our home isn't merely a structure. It represents the foundation for our children's future. Every part of it holds love and cherished memories. We can't just give it up and start anew, I replied, my voice thick with emotion. But think about the kids, Samantha added, her voice trembling. Where will my children go if not with family? The room erupted into a flurry of opinions, with some relatives nodding in agreement with Samantha while others shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. David rose to his feet, his commanding presence quieting the room. This isn't just about bricks and mortar, it's about our children's stability. We've invested so much into building our home, not just for ourselves, but as a legacy for our kids. We cannot and will not jeopardize their sense of security. Our offer remains. Samantha can stay with us temporarily, but our home is not up for negotiation. Martha's expression hardened with frustration. David, sometimes sacrifices are necessary for the greater good of the family. Offering temporary refuge is our way of making those sacrifices. I firmly stated, asking us to give up our home isn't a sacrifice, it's an imposition. The room's tension reached a boiling point as Martha leaned forward. You're being selfish. Think about your nieces and nephews. David's resolve remained unshaken. Being a good uncle doesn't mean giving away our children's home. We need to find a better solution. The meeting ended with no resolution, leaving the family divide deeper than before. As David and I walked to our car, the weight of the evening's accusations was heavy between us. Yet amidst the tension, we felt a strong sense of pride in our unity and determination. We had stood our ground, not just for the physical structure of our home, but for the sanctuary it represented for our family. As we drove back home, the lights of our house greeted us warmly in the darkness. It was more than just a building. It was a testament to our love and commitment, a home we were determined to protect, no matter the pressure from those who were meant to support us the most. The days after the family meeting were among the toughest we'd ever face. The phone rang incessantly, each call bringing another family member's blame or plea for us to reconsider. Our decision had triggered a wave of tension that spread through the family like wildfire. Text messages accumulated, each one more pleading or accusatory than the last. You're turning your back on family in their time of need, one message read. Another was more direct. How can you be so cold? The barrage was unrelenting, and with every message, the sanctuary that our home had always provided seemed to shrink under the weight of the family's disapproval. The impact of the situation extended beyond David and me. It started to affect our kids as well. One day, our oldest, Ella, came home from school with a puzzled expression. Mom, why did Aunt Carol say we have too many rooms and should share with Cousin Lily? She asked, clearly struggling to make sense of the adult conversations she had overheard. I knelt down and gently took her hands in mine. Sometimes adults think that sharing is the solution to problems, sweetie, but Dad and I believe that it's important for our home to remain stable and safe for you and your siblings, I explained, hoping to shield her from the ongoing family drama. As the days stretched into a week, a call from a friend offered an unexpected ray of hope. Rachel, a fellow PTA member and a real estate agent, had heard about Samantha's predicament through mutual acquaintances. I'm not sure if you're aware, Jenna, but there are several rental homes in your area that Samantha could afford with her child support and alimony. I'd be happy to help her find one, she suggested during a coffee chat one afternoon. The suggestion was a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. That's really helpful, Rachel. Thank you, I replied, my mind racing. Why hadn't Samantha or Martha considered these alternatives? Were they so focused on our home that they overlooked other viable options? Fueled by this new information, David and I decided to investigate further. A few discreet calls confirmed Rachel's claims. There were indeed suitable rental properties available that would allow Samantha to live independently without displacing anyone. This revelation was a mixed blessing. On one hand, it provided a potential way out of the constant pressure. On the other, it reinforced the suspicion that Martha and Samantha's emotional appeals might have been more about convenience than genuine need. With this knowledge in hand, we prepared for the upcoming family gathering, a birthday party for David's cousin. We anticipated a charged atmosphere but felt reassured knowing we had a solid alternative solution to present. As we arrived at the party, the cold reception was unmistakable. Whispers hushed as we passed by, and some family members visibly turned away. The divide was evident, those who supported our decision to safeguard our home versus those who had been swayed by Martha's portrayal of our supposed selfishness. Amid the forced smiles and awkward silences, David squeezed my hand. "No matter what, we have the truth on our side," he whispered, bolstering my resolve to face the family. We were prepared to share what we had discovered and hopeful to bridge the gaps, not through sacrifice, but by fostering understanding and respecting each family member's autonomy. The pivotal moment arrived unexpectedly, a revelation that shifted the course of our family dilemma. One quiet evening, while sifting through our usual influx of emails, I noticed a new listing in a local community bulletin. It was an advertisement for a reasonably priced 4-bedroom rental house, well within Samantha's budget. This discovery was the breakthrough we needed to counter the claim that there were no other viable options for her. Armed with this information, David and I realized it was time to address the family with concrete facts rather than emotions. We decided to present our findings at Grander Ralph's upcoming anniversary celebration, where the entire family would be gathered. It would be our opportunity to clarify the situation and, hopefully, repair some of the rifts that had developed. On the day of the anniversary, the family atmosphere was thick with unspoken tensions as everyone arrived. Despite the festive decorations and the celebratory mood, the recent conflicts lingered in the air. After the meal, as the laughter subsided and conversations grew more personal, David and I sensed that it was our chance to address the issue. I stood up and cleared my throat, drawing the room's attention. "I want to thank everyone for coming together today. We need to address an important matter: Samantha's housing situation." The room fell silent, all eyes focusing on us. We all want what's best for Samantha and her kids. Recently, we discovered several affordable housing options that hadn't been considered. David passed around a tablet displaying the rental listings, which circulated through the family. Each member stopped to review the details, which clearly showed that Samantha had viable alternatives to moving into our home. "Why wasn't this mentioned earlier?" Uncle Joe asked, directing his question at Samantha, who looked visibly surprised. I didn't know these options were available," Samantha replied, her voice faltering. David took the floor, his tone both firm and empathetic. "It's evident that there are other solutions we haven't fully explored. We need to investigate these options thoroughly." The challenge to the prevailing narrative was clear as family members absorbed the new information. The earlier accusations against us started to lose their impact. I added, "We've been painted as unsympathetic, but that was never our intention. We offered temporary shelter, and now we're presenting a long-term solution that doesn't disrupt our children's lives." Martha, clearly uncomfortable, finally spoke up. "I suppose we may have jumped to conclusions. It's important that we make decisions based on complete information," I responded, aiming to bridge the gap created by earlier demands. The focus of the conversation shifted from blame to finding solutions. Family members began discussing how they could help Samantha move into one of the listed homes. The tension that had clouded the gathering started to dissolve, replaced by a more cooperative atmosphere. As the party came to a close, a sense of collective relief emerged. Apologies and constructive suggestions flowed, particularly from those who had been most critical. Before leaving, Martha approached us with a softer expression. "I'm sorry for the pressure we put on you. It seems there were better options all along." Driving home, David and I felt a profound sense of relief. Our decision not only safeguarded our home, but also helped steer the family towards a more supportive and understanding dynamic. The house, once a battleground, was again a sanctuary. As we tucked our kids into bed that night, the peace we felt was all the sweeter for the trials we had faced. In the weeks following Grandma Ruth's anniversary party, the family dynamic shifted subtly yet significantly. The fallout from the revelation of alternative housing options had cooled the intense demands and sparked a realization among those who had been quickest to judge. Martha, in particular, faced the uncomfortable truth that her actions had been based more on assumptions than on facts. At family gatherings, she often kept to herself or offered conciliatory gestures toward David and me, her discomfort evident. Support came from unexpected places. Aunt Mary and Uncle Joe, who had been quiet throughout the ordeal, reached out to commend David and me for how we managed the situation. "Jenna, you really showed us what it means to stand firm with grace," Aunt Mary said one afternoon. Their newfound support was a welcome relief, soothing some of the wounds left by the conflict. Meanwhile, Samantha found a suitable home from the listings Rachel had provided and moved in with her children soon after. The community rallied around her, helping her settle in and transforming what could have been a lingering issue into a powerful example of communal support and cooperation. At home, the sense of peace was almost tangible. David and I often found ourselves savoring the quiet after the kids were tucked in, enjoying the calm that had replaced the earlier tension. Our house, once the epicenter of family conflict, had reverted to being our beloved sanctuary. Watching our children play in the backyard, their laughter carried on the evening breeze, filled me with a profound sense of pride and relief. We had weathered the storm, safeguarded our home, and emerged stronger. Our home was no longer just a physical space, but a symbol of our love, resilience, and the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it means standing against family. Now that our story has come to a close, I'd love to hear from you. Would you have made the same choices if you were in our shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.